My name is Amelia Atkins, and I am staff at the Heart House at the American College of Cardiology. I currently work in the IT division, specifically on the NCDR registries, including Impact. My connection to the college, other than that I work here, was because I wanted to have a part to play in the world of cardiology, even though I didn't go to medical school or nursing school. But I had a very personal connection that my mother was born with congenital heart disease and was pioneer surgery back in the 1950s when open heart surgery was a 50-50 coin toss of survival.
Well, when I was really young, I guess I was 4, that my doctors discovered that I had a heart murmur and that I needed surgery. I had atrial septum defect, and at that time it was pioneer surgery. There were no one was doing open heart surgery on children, and we had to wait until technology advanced, and I got older, but not too much older. So then my dad did some research, and he discovered that there was this amazing doctor, Dr. Walter Lillihei, who was doing pioneer surgery in the 50s, and there were children that were surviving the surgery. So at one point, my parents had to tell me that I was going to go to the hospital, but I was little. At that time I was 7, and I would have been scared. So they made up a story, and they said, you know how you love animals? Well, I know you want to be like Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. Sheena's my nickname. My real name is Maria Emilia Rapoport. Sims after I married. But they said, we have to take you to the hospital, and you have to have a series of tests, and then you'll be able to go and have these shots and live in Africa with the animals. I thought that was awesome, and my parents began writing me letters like Sheena. So Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, was actually writing to me about coming to live in the jungle with the animals. I was on board. So they take me to Minnesota, and I meet the doctors. And really what I remember is waking up in an oxygen tent. I don't think they use those anymore. I also was attached to a huge box with cables, and that was the problem, that Dr. Lillihei was having this great success with the surgery, but then the young kids were going into heart block, and many were not surviving. And so between Dr. Lillihei and Earl Bakken, who later on founded Medtronics, they came up with this pacemaker. It was attached, huge, and attached to me, but it was cumbersome. You couldn't get up and walk, but it kept my heart rate up. I remember the hospital. I remember that it was very scary because I was 7, and my parents weren't allowed to spend the night, and my brother wasn't allowed to visit. There were visiting hours, but they were very, very short. And I was there for a month, if not longer, and because I was in bed all the time, I eventually had to learn to walk again. That experience is very scary. And I went home back to Argentina, and I have to say Dr. Lillihei was amazing because he was able to save my life. I know that at the time it was 50% success rate, and I was very lucky. We kept in touch. He wrote my parents wrote him, when I went home to Argentina, things went along well. I didn't feel badly. I later learned that I started to lose more of the heart rate because they had stabilized me at 40, and then I dropped again. So they began to give me isoprel, it's medicine. And my mother didn't send me to school because she was afraid that I would catch an upper respiratory infection, and that was not my favorite because I had tutors and I wanted to go to school, but my parents were afraid. And so I think that I was very, very special, but also felt different. So later I wanted to have children after I was married, and I looked up Dr. Lily High, and I met him again in New York. He was in New York at the time, and he was great. He advised me, he helped me, he wrote me. We continued to write. I have his letters, and he told me that eventually I had to get a pacemaker, that I was going to just one day drop dead. When I was so little and the heart surgeries were so difficult, it was all pioneer time, and I had that atrial septum defect. Well, later I know a friend of mine needed the same repair, and it was done non-invasively through a artery or vein, like in an electrophysiologist's office, and he had an outpatient situation to something that in 1957 literally was so big for me. And that's how I lost my sinus node, because at the time when Dr. Lily High did a great job, but they couldn't see the sinus node. So when he was doing the repair, he cut it, and that's why I went into heart block. But all of that doesn't happen now, and now they have mapping, they have so many ways to even help people with atrial fibrillations, with ablations. It's a procedure, not an open heart surgery. It seems like every year something better comes along, from the first pacemaker that raised my heart rate from 40 to 70, to the activity tracks that allowed me to go up and down the stairs, to the leadless one that I have now, to the fact that maybe someday open heart surgeries will be so much easier. I think my grandkids probably, by the time they grow up, they're going to see the most amazing things happening in medicine. So I'm very hopeful and grateful because I've had a really great life.
So what do I see as the future for congenital heart disease? Well, honestly, my vision is that the future is seamless. My vision is that those who are born with congenital heart disease don't have to live with it at all. That with our technological advances, that once they have a procedure to correct whatever it is that they were born with, that they lead a normal life, that they eat what they want, that they travel where they want, that they buy what they want, because everything's going to fit now. They don't have to worry about devices that are large, that they can go out to restaurants and not have to question everything that's on a menu because it's going to counteract with their medication, that their whole medical team can have a forum to discuss what this is, because it's very infrequently one doctor's specialty. We see a lot, at least in the college, right? We see a lot of cardiologists and interventional cardiologists and electrophysiologists all talk to each other, but sometimes you need to pull in a pulmonologist. Sometimes you need to pull in an endocrinologist. A lot of these things are all interconnected. But right now the onus is on the patient to take control. I don't know about you. I don't know everything about all the specialties, but I know my case, and I want to know my case better. So that's my vision of the future, is that it will be easier to navigate, and that we would all be able to navigate those waters together. That's what I want.